Tony Mobley. Today, I'm having a conversation with my good friend, Mr. Ken Jordan. This is episode 18 of 2025. We are powered by Mimo Live. I want to thank the team behind Conversation with Tony Mobley for all of your hard work. This conversation can be seen on YouTube, the YouTube channel, where you can put in your questions in the YouTube chat, or you can use Mukana. You can use Mukana to ask your question, and that question can be voted up and down. And tonight, it might be a good idea for you to use it because we are going to have a different kind of conversation today with Ken Jordan. So you want to utilize Mukana. Um, we want to thank again everyone for being a part of this. And you can ask your questions in the YouTube chat as well. And we're just going to get right into it. And so, for those of you who don't know, my friend Ken Jordan is back talking about AI. Not only is he back talking about AI, he's talking about AI while using Apple's Vision Pro. That's right. He's going to have a conversation with me tonight. He's going to talk about creating AI avatars, and he's going to be doing it using Apple's Vision Pro. So we're just going to get started and we're going to say hello, welcome, Ken Jordan. Thank you so much for being here today, and we are happy to have you here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Pleasure to be here. Um, as you see, this is Apple's Vision Pro version of me. This is my persona, which I captured at Apple Vision Pro. Um, and I should have done a new one where I was shaved, but I'm not actually shaved presently. But whatever the benefit with using Apple Vision Pro, you can, look your best, wear your best, and it will take and capture that version, and then that will be your persona. And that's what you're seeing. That's what you're seeing here. Because presently, I am, yeah, my setup isn't because we're actually in the middle of transitioning to our new home, which we closed on a few days ago. Um, so that why was a bit of a delay in some of the stuff I was going to show. But yeah, happy to be here and yeah, happy to be here and
We're going to
show you
thank
what.
you so much again. And I'm excited. I was excited already about the conversation. I'm even more excited about you using the Vision Pro because I'm not sure how many people have had an actual conversation with a person using a Vision Pro on their podcast. I'm sure that there probably have been, but I don't know too many people who have. So I'm
Hmm.
excited for us tonight, and I'm looking forward to, and we're going to get right into it. For those people who don't know who you are, just give us a brief synopsis on who Ken Jordan is.
Yes, I know I should prepare for this question more. I've been on your show numerous times, and each time I always stumble with the same question. You think I should have got it right by now, but basically, I've been in the digital design and marketing space for 41 years, which is a long time. I started at the age of 20, running a computer graphics department for Arthur Anderson, which is no longer around now, and have been in designing in the digital space since the age of 20. Um, and what we do now, we make businesses, websites, kind of more profitable online. We still do build a few websites, but mainly we look at how you can present yourself online in the best possible way. And that's kind of the focus of our company. Um, yeah, and we are now that we're very heavily involved now with using AI tools to enhance not just our workflow, but our output for our clients. And what we are going to demonstrate today is what's called a AI avatar. Um, and you may well have seen the one that I created for Tony and Liberty White. Um, and that's what we're going to be uh, demonstrating, demonstrating today, step by step, on actually how we build it. Um, uh, yeah,
That's
so
fantastic. That's fantastic. We're going to get into that. And before we get into that, I want to ask you, have you used a Vision Pro this way before?
yes, well, we have. Well, when we first got it, we were excited to use it and play around with it and test it and do meetings and stuff with it. I haven't. We've only used it kind of internally for some of our meetings and stuff. But no, actually being on a public broadcast with it, you are the first um, that that I've done and showing my my digital avatar on to the public. So yeah, no, this is the first. So forgive me if I stumble a bit on some of the things on here, but
That's okay.
yeah, it's a
I'm
good it's an it's a as I like to do it on Tony's show is to show some of the newer stuff and the latest and greatest, and it's not always 100% polished, but it is yeah, it is new stuff.
and it's one of the things about having a live show is that sometimes things
Yes,
work and sometimes they don't. But we
yes,
we embrace the lab in conversation with Tony Mobley. So we're excited about the fact that this is going to be an experience for those who have a chance
yes.
to watch. And I just want to encourage people to go ahead and put your questions in the YouTube chat. And those that have access to Mukana, please go ahead and put your questions in Mukana and vote on those questions. I am anticipating that there's going to be a lot of questions, and that if you want to ensure that your question gets answered in the time that we only have an hour. If you want to ensure, you want to put it in Mukana and get it voted up. Um, or if you're going to put it in YouTube, hurry up and get it in so we can get to your questions. And so, well, let's get into it. So let's talk about Tony AI Twin.
Okay,
How did he come about?
right. Um, we've been experimenting and doing what's called a digital avatar for um, for some of our clients. That's where we take an image of the person and use that image to make a artificial model, an AI model of that person. Then you can use that avatar to you can feed it a script, and it can be a like a virtual assistant for you, but in your image. But what we found was that when we there's something kind of a what the term is kind of uncanny valley. There's something not quite right. Like the persona that you're seeing of me here, isn't um isn't me, obviously, but it is not, even though it's an image taken of me, it's not something not quite right with that. And what we found is when we actually turn the character into a more of a Pixar styled model, uh, that was a lot more, people found that a lot more engaging. And um, yeah, our research shown is that, yes, by using the likeness of the person, but in a Pixar styled, 3D model, was more acceptable for more accepting by people when they were using it, rather than them seeing, oh well, that's artificial, taking a photo and making that an AI model. It didn't have the same impact as using the cartoon style um, model of the person. And where one of my big experience was doing that for doing. I made one of the show that you were like a pre-show one for when, because Liberty was going to be talking about AI. I thought, okay, this is a let me just create a model for example for Tony, just to show, and I shared that with Tony, and then he quite graciously made it, put it on his LinkedIn channel, and the same with Liberty, and it kind of took off from there.
Yes,
Um,
it did take off. There were
yes.
a lot of questions about how you did that. But
Mm,
before we leave that, I want to go back a little bit more about. I understand clearly what you're saying in terms of using the Pixar type of avatars,
mm.
but how far away are we from actually being able to use the real likeness of people?
You can do that now. It's but we and it looks, you can get some really quite good results in terms of the look. It will look like I could have done it with the actual screenshot of you, and and it's getting better and better. But for us, it wasn't perfect enough to be um that you felt comfortable with that um um the real life version. There was something still not quite right there. And also there is, kind of, it's one of those, by using the an image of the real person and getting them to do or say whatever you want, that does bring up kind of more kind of ethical issues, because
Absolutely.
it
Yes.
would be, I could, capture the and then get this model to say something that you would never say or do, and you would fool, 90 95% of the people kind of who are watching it. So it's by, what, so we have very much gone down that Pixar styled route of using that, because then it's obviously not it's a animation of the person. It looks
Right.
kind of it's like them, and so therefore it's not. You can it's just much more accepting to the general public, and much more engaging if you go down that route rather than the real one. Because yes, we can, and it is getting better. Soon you won't you 99% of the people won't be able to tell. There are still some kind of telltale signs, but it's getting better and better all the time. I mean,
Yeah. I,
that. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you about a movie that I saw recently that
Mm.
embraced AI. We're not going to talk about it now because we're going to talk more about the creations of the twins of Tony
Yes.
Mobley and Liberty White and Alex Lindsay.
Yes.
I didn't see Alex Lindsay before, but I am happy to
No, no,
just
I've got a, I was, if we have time, there's also ones I did with, well, other work that I was doing with Hasmuk. Hasmuk I did ask his permission before, because a lot of the work unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that I do, I cannot, we're not allowed to share. Our clients are, the way that we work, we're very, very much behind the scenes. You wouldn't, we're happy for our clients to present that as if they created it, mainly because um, what they do and create is sometimes quite either sensitive areas, and they want to be known to be, look, that they're 100% in control of what they do and don't use a third party like us, even though we're a very, very trusted partner. That's what we don't talk about a lot of that. But the work that I do for other, you know, I said Hasmuk is there's some AI stuff I'm doing with for Hasmuk that we might share, but that's different. That's on a slightly different subject. We might come to that maybe another event, another show. Um, but
Absolutely.
this one is very much about the you how we create AI avatars.
And one of the things that I gleaned from what you were saying too is that, if a Pixar version of Tony Mobley says something that's controversial, well, we can always blame it on the fact that it was a
Exactly.
Pixar version of
Yes,
Tony
yes.
Mobley.
There is a level of kind of disconnect from that. Well, level of can't you can say, well, yeah, it's very obvious. Well, that was a generated character that said that, and not Tony directly. So that it does. It makes by using, I said, the Pixar style, it does leave you with that kind of a level of, oh, okay, yes, it definitely wasn't. It was generated, and so therefore, I can give it more leeway than if it was. Then they're trying to fool me by using a real life version of a real image of the person. Okay.
Fantastic. So let's get into the nuts and bolts of
Mm,
uh, the process.
yes. Okay. Well, um, first we start by taking well, I'll talk about the process of how I created your Tony and your and Liberty's avatar.
Okay.
And the first step I used was ChatGPT's Sora, its image engine. And when they released uh, the new version of their image creation, it kind of took the internet by storm. Everyone was creating what's called Ghibli cut images versions of themselves. We did the Pixar style, so it made creating um, a virtual image of yourself in a whatever style you desire. You could make, and that's what we used. It was Now we're very heavy. What we use another image to a text to image AI, which is called Midjourney. We're very, very heavily into using Midjourney for creating images normally, but Sora, its adherence to your prompt is really is where we're now probably 90% of our work we've actually generate with ChatGPT Sora. So I'm showing on the screen here. These were uh, some of the images I took. Um, if I actually click on to this image here of Tony, and you'll see um, I took a number of um, reference screenshots, and the benefit again with Sora, you can put in up to 20, I think it is. I mean, it could change. It might have changed. It might be allowing more now. These things always progress. I remember last time I did the demonstration of this, and I went into one of the applications. It changed from allowing a 30-second clip into a uh, half an hour clip, so it's always advancing. But presently, so I inputted, as you see, for you're seeing here, all these different uh, reference images of Tony. And the more reference images you take, you feed it, we find the closer the better the output of the of the of the animated model of the image that we create. So we like to feed the we know it's kind of basically the more the better the input you put in, the better the output that comes out the other end. So that's our starting place. And the benefit of that, you can this is very accessible to everybody, because there is I think even in the free tier of ChatGPT, you can create this model, a model of yourself. And I'll share the prompt as well, because it's actually, that's the key. This is the prompt. It was a 3D Pixar style animation, closed mouth, smile, and open eyes. That's key to add that the mouth is closed for the next stage, and obviously the eyes open, because if you look at why I added and open eyes at the end of it, was when I did, if I go back to the one of Liberty, one of the ones it produced was, her eyes were closed, so that was so this is how the prompts. So these were the reference images. So I use these four reference images, three, and again, 3D Pixar style animation, closed mouth, smile. That was also a learning. You want the mouth closed. You don't want to show teeth when you're capturing the image, because in the later stage, when I start animating it, it generates its own teeth. And if you show it teeth, it can look a bit funky in the generation. That's why we say closed mouth, smile. But then,
Okay.
so as you said in this one here, but it did it, but the eyes were closed. So I refined the script just to make sure, that the eyes are opened, and that's the version that we got then of Liberty. So I had to redo it to get that.
Okay.
So once you have um, that image, we then used there are a number of image to video solutions out there, and we've tested most of them, but the one that we landed upon that makes it easier for our workflow is a program called Lemon Slice. So it's lemonslice.com. Um, and what we found with this particular model, we could do a number of steps in here rather than using um, two or three other programs to produce the other steps. And this we found does some of the best lip syncing and voice cloning all in one.
Okay.
So it saves a lot of time. This is really, this is a big shortcut to producing um, to producing the avatar. So once we've generated the image, we then put that. We go into Lemon Slice, and I'll actually let me go to the studio, and we go into where is let's go to Tony Mobley. Okay, let's hide that. So this, when you first go into the studio, this is what you see. You see here, this is where you can put in your image, and now literally, as I said, this is the last. I'm not sure when they recently added. You can also upload a video, but at the time we did this, that wasn't available. It was it was an image. So you uploaded your the image into here, So you want to upload, and then you would choose. We then chose the image that we selected, but I'm going to go. I've already done that, so oops, let me go. Cancel that here. Go to my character library and here. So first you upload the image, and so that's the Sora image that we created. Um, and you can choose kind of the different aspect ratios that you want to output it at. And again, this has changed from last time because now it does fully 16 by 9. But anyway, these are different aspect ratios you can output it for. So you've got the vertical 9 by 16 if you're outputting it for uh, TikTok or YouTube Shorts. You know, you've got the vertical aspect ratio as well as that, as well as some other ones. Then this is the part that is used, the voice cloner. Now there are a number of voice cloners that we've used, and 11 Labs we normally use because it was the best at doing voice cloning, but um, we found that Lemon Slices now does an even better job, especially with um, um, more characterful voices. You know, it was a lot better at someone with like very heavy accents. Um, you know, like we did one for using Hazmuk's voice, and it was the best at creating that, and so still sounding very much like the person. So if they've got very strong accents, 11 Labs wasn't quite as good as in some instances of making a voice clone of that voice, but Lemon Slice doing an excellent job of actually doing that. So what we do is we capture the highest quality audio of the person's voice that we want to make a voice clone from. And ideally, you want to capture their voice when they're being quite, very there's a lot of expression in what they're saying. Um, so let me see the example I've got here, and then I play that. So let's get Liberty, and let's see if I play this. Oops, let me turn on if you can hear my audio. Oh, it's a bit of a delay. Oh, there's a bit of a delay on that video, on that audio. I don't think you're hearing.
I'm not
Uh,
hearing, but maybe the audience can
not you're
hear.
hearing. Um, no, I don't think it's being fed in. There is a delay. If I play this, let me just stay silent for a bit. Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Um, so what you want to capture is you want to capture their voice and make sure that you're capturing um, um, them, if they're being expressions, if they're laughing or, there's a bit of a laugh or whatever that's in their voice. So, make sure that they're not reading something that's kind of monotone. You want them as natural as possible, that recording, because the more natural that is and the more expressions there are in that, even if there's pauses and stuff, the voice cloning comes across as much more sounding like them. Um,
Okay.
so that's what we upload. is their voice to make the clone. Um, then obviously need to create the script that we want them to say. Once we've cloned their voice, we want to create a script for it. Now, what we do for that, we use another AI program, but you can use ChatGPT just as good as doing this. But we use Claude.ai from Anthropic, um, because we've got ours trained to to in a style that's correct for that we for us in terms of creating a very good script. So for um, the script in this case for Liberty, when she was doing the pre-show, because we weren't I knew what the show was going to be about, but obviously the show hadn't happened yet. So what I took what I took to make so it's for what Liberty wanted to say, I used her LinkedIn profile and captured her LinkedIn profile and used that as a source for and then put in what I knew the show was going to be about, um, and then put that into Claude to generate the script that Liberty said. So if I and that then so then I used Claude to generate that, and then pasted that into here for what the character was then to say. And at the time, we were limited to 700 characters. That now has changed up to, I think it's three, or did it say there? Yeah, 3,000. It's captured by that. It's over 3,000. I think it's 700 characters now. So I could have all done that now in one take, but I had to do it in smaller chunks. But now again, their eyes improved to make it even longer. So again, to make a good script, you want as much source material as possible to generate that. So like the after show one, I I captured the text from the whole of the show and then made a summary of that show to um, so that it captured what was said in the show for these other avatars that I made on here. So again, it's good in, good out. So you're wanting to use as much good quality input to create the speech so that it sounds, so what they're saying actually, it comes across well rather than just getting a
I just want to
um,
interject. I think that you did a fantastic job of cloning both myself and Liberty's voice. And I'm going to try to play it. I think if
yeah,
I play
okay,
it, they may be able to hear it. And
perfect.
so I hope this is the right one. Let's see. I'm going to, and let's see if we let it take over the screen, and let's see if it'll play. Well, hello there, friends. AI Tony Mobley here with a little reminder about something special you might have missed. If you didn't catch yesterday's fascinating episode featuring the brilliant Liberty White discussing women, AI, and the future of work, I absolutely urge you to go watch the recording. The conversation was dynamic, insightful, and honestly, just the kind of dialogue we all need right now as we navigate this rapidly changing technological landscape. Head over to conversationswithtonymobley.com to catch the full episode.
Thank you, AI Tony. That conversation was truly energizing. We covered so much ground about how AI is reshaping opportunities for women in tech and beyond. From our Women in AI Futures event at Georgia Tech to practical ways anyone can start building their AI confidence, we packed a lot of value into that hour. If you're feeling uncertain about your place in this AI revolution or just curious about what's possible, I promise there's something in that episode that will spark an idea for you. As I mentioned, this isn't just about technology, it's about mindset and positioning yourself for what's next. Don't miss it.
Liberty, you brought such wonderful insights. I particularly loved our discussion about how houses of worship can ethically embrace AI tools and your breakdown of the AI tools everyday people should actually focus on rather than getting overwhelmed. For anyone watching who feels like AI is for someone else, this conversation will change your perspective. See you all at our next episode.
Absolutely. And remember, the future is being built right now. Let's build it together.
So I am awestruck. I'm just going to say it. I'm awestruck. I think that's fantastic, and I hope that our audience was able to hear it very clearly. Um, I think it's amazing, and it kind of makes me want to ask you, Ken. Um, I'm a geek. I love all of this stuff. I think this is fantastic. I love it. But what does this do for regular people? And maybe you could speak to how this might be utilized in terms of people who are doing sales or have a small business. Can you speak to that?
Yes, yes. Um, what we've before we started doing this, we were always encouraging our clients to be, because of the old saying is, a picture is 1,000 words. Well, a video is that times, um, times 30 more, because it's, they're, depending on 30 frames a second. Um, so we always encourage them to have a video, um, uh, of themselves when they're promoting themselves or promoting anything that they're doing. But not even myself is not 100% comfortable in front of a camera. Um, and then when they're given a set script to say, it can take a long time, unless you're very good, or an actor, to be able to read a script and to feel comfortable and stuff in front of a camera. It's it's not something that everyone can do or are comfortable with. So these virtual avatars of yourself doing it makes it that much easier, because you always can present yourself in the best way, because you can adjust the images and stuff that's on here. The Pixar style version, it comes across, it always, as I said, we found it very, very much more engaging. Um, and by using a voice clone of your own voice, means that when you can just feed it a script and just type the text in, adjust the script, just the text, and it will always say it perfectly. So it it it's a very quick way of um, producing a representation of yourself to promote whatever services or sales that you're wanting to do. So that's what we have found, and with our experiments and stuff with this, with certain clients, they have found very good results in using this model of themselves to present, or market themselves with it. So, and now with these tool sets much more accessible to all, to have done that previously would have taken would have cost a lot and taken a long time to do, to in doing a 3D model of yourself and getting it to speak, would have taken a lot of time and effort and cost to produce. So this has lowered that barrier by
I'm
using
j-
by using these
I'm just going to
tools.
tell you. Years ago, I used to be the children's church pastor at my church, and if I was able to do any of this for the children's chapel church, oh man, what a time we would have had
Mm,
with the young people. And I just see this as, individuals now have the power to create their own commercials
yes.
using this. And this is, it's like, hello everybody. This is an opportunity to sort of level up and be able to be your own production company in terms of um, sharing your contents, being not to the level of what you do in terms of being a marketing person and a graphics person, but each individual person could step up whatever they're doing and make it more appealing to, I'm going to say, this TikTok generation as well
Mm.
as the rest of us that are here. Um, but can you can you can you talk about? There's a couple of things I want you to talk about. The first thing I want you to talk about is, first, someone watching this conversation right now and have seen already some of the things that you have done. How might they contact you to see if you are the person that they need to get in touch with for their business?
Yes, well, if you go to elmspark.com, that's where you can get in contact with us uh, for this. We're actually in the middle of creating a new site where we're just focusing on generating models like this. We haven't launched that yet, but there will be a dedicated website that we're launching where we're offering our services to the public on how and building this for you commercially. But presently, you can contact us through our website if you're interested
Elms
in
Park.
having a model like that. If you go to elmspark.com, you will and just use the contact form there. That's it presently. But as I said, I will um, and probably again I'll share with you first, Tony, because you will have there is going to be a dedicated site for doing this because so much of our work now is actually in this. This has really kind of taken off for us, and so we'll do a dedicated site where people can do this service, where we will be selling this service directly on there, and all the details on what that would be is on there.
That's fantastic. And again, I want to say thank you so much for sharing that with me, um, and our audience. And our time is running out. So again, those of you who have questions, please ask your questions. Otherwise, Ken and I are going to continue
Oh yes, there's
to
a lot
just
that
play and have fun.
yes.
So,
Because
uh,
there is one final step on here because I showed well you thank you showed the final result. So one bit I haven't one final bit I just haven't talked about, the third step, which is here, which then generates the actual video. Now the settings we use are what's on here. We use the expressive version um, because it's the characters as you saw with Tony's video, were moving, were a lot more expressive, as the word says. But they can bring in some funky artifacts. And there were slight ones that I see in there because I always, for me, whenever I always can see the mistakes, so see the little errors and stuff that are in there. But and normally we would have had, if we would, had more time, we would have kind of edited those out. But as I said, when I did this for Tony, it was very, it was a very quick kind of live
and
demo
and it
that
was
we did.
appreciated. It was
Yes, yes, and
appreciated
it did.
too.
Yes, yes, it
And
did
and and
take
and
off.
quite frankly, I
Mm,
think that I remember very distinctly that Hasmut was one of the persons that asked me when I first started sharing it, how did you do? He asked me, how did
mm,
you do this? I didn't do this.
mm,
Then I immediately told him that you had done it. And so he was extremely excited, as well
mm,
as Rabbi David Paskin, and there were a lot of other people that asked me specifically about how it was done, and I made sure that they knew that it
mm.
was in fact you who had done it.
Yeah, thank you for that, Tony. Yeah, so the so we use expressive, but it can sometimes produce. That's why it's we make very much sure that that our character is the mouth is closed, their eyes are wide open, they're of a natural smile and looking directly at the camera. That way, when you use expressive, you get less, it comes across, it produces the best results. Otherwise, you can use medium or stable. What they do, they focus just more on the head and just making sure that the lips are in sync. It might not have looked at quite when you saw what Tony presented, whether it might not have sounded in sync, but it is perfectly in sync when you see it for real. When you when you play it directly, you'll see that the lip syncing, it does work really well. And as I said, yeah, Lemon Slice has cut down. Stop. We've used to use three different programs are now Lemon Slice. Apart from Sora, where I said which we recommended to use, it produces the best results for that. But that now might change. We might go back to Mid Journey because there's a thing that they recently released called Omni Reference, which basically means you can use a reference image and it will follow that in its thing. So um, but as I said, Sora, and that's one is a very accessible program for everyone. Said it's free. I think the free version does it. I'm not sure we have the pro versions, but I'm pretty sure that the free version you can generate that as those images as well. So yeah, once you've got that good base model,
Can we
then
have
Lemon
we have a
Slice.
hot comment that just came in.
Okay.
We have a hot comment that just came in. The hot comment is from Liberty White. I got a lot of questions about that video. Thanks again, Kenn.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Liberty. Yes, as I said, when we've done it for clients, there's been a very, very high level of engagement when they use these avatars in their profiles. Yeah, we've as I said, we've 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 seen excellent results in doing it this way, and yeah, thank you, Liberty. I'm glad that you've got some traction from it.
I'm still sort of just in awestruck from the standpoint of I just see so many different ways in which this could be utilized for even for houses of worship. Um,
Yeah,
it's
so yeah, I mean it would be perfect for that, especially engaging with that. What we've found is, it's engaging with that younger audience as well, is especially with where attention spans have shortened. You need to get that impact in the first few seconds, otherwise people kind of move on, slide on to the next thing. So as I said, the engagement is far greater when it is this Pixar styled image we found it, and that's why we are, as I said, launching a new arm where where we're offering our services and building these models for you as an individual or a company.
We have a question. So the question is, what did you think of the use of AI in the movie G20? Did you watch it yet?
No, I haven't watched it yet. I'm aware of it, but I haven't yet. I haven't yet watched it. I mean, it will soon become as ubiquitous as if you use Photoshop to touch up your images. It would you won't you don't say that. We no longer need to say, oh yes, well that was retouched using a computer program. It's just another tool um, um, that's out there to use. But yes, because it's you're saying it's AI in there, it does get a lot of attention, um, and it does grab the headlines by pushing the
I
fact that
don't
you're using AI.
I don't want to spoil the movie for you,
Okay.
but I do want to tell you that in that particular movie, the bad guys utilize AI to make the leaders of 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 this
Oh,
G20.
I know now. I have seen the movie. Yeah, so it wasn't. Yeah, I remember. You now telling me what part of the script. I remember. I have watched. I have seen that movie. It wasn't. Uh, I didn't think, to be honest, it was that good a movie. But I do remember now. Yes, where they were using. Yes, and using AI to show yes the G20 leaders saying something that they hadn't said, and then yeah the
Yes.
whole cryptocurrency thing. Yeah, no, I did see um, um, I did see that, even though they didn't actually use AI to do that. The actors actually did say those things that they didn't say, but they were, but they made out that they used AI to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't actually, that much kind of. There wasn't AI in the movie itself. It was
And
about yes,
that
the
just
thing
speaks to
on.
how quickly things are moving, because probably at the time in which they made the movie, it was kind of like futuristic thinking,
Mm.
and now we're at a point where they could actually, pull off something close to that.
Oh yeah, you could now very easily do that um and be, as I said, you only because you don't need to be 100%. You don't need to fool everybody, but you just need to fool enough to kind of make that work. And AI now is good enough to yeah, that it's always those kind of nefarious parts of AI that get pushed and promoted, because it's always a bad news. It always sells more than good news, and I'm more than aware of that, and having worked in the news media in one of my previous roles, was actually working for one of the UK's largest media companies. I ran their digital department, and yeah, you was, and this is many many years ago. Um, but you'll be surprised at what the headline writer writes is very different to what the actual journalist writes, but the politics of the journalist are not necessarily the same as what they actually write. They um but anyway, that's a different um story
We,
that.
we would have you come back on and talk about that
Okay,
that
all
that
right.
component. That sounds really, particularly in
That's
this
quite
time
that
of
that's a
this
very
this time
yes.
Very
Yes, that's a
timely
very hot
subject.
topic, yes, it's quite, yeah, it can be quite kind of polarizing if you, yeah, know what really happens behind the scenes on how those things work. That's quite a third rail kind of topic. Um, but yeah, if you, yeah, that's quite controversial one if you want to go down that route. But yeah, no, we like to always put the benefit. As I said,
Okay, we,
for
we,
us,
we have another
other benefits
question.
of this. Okay.
We have another question. This question is from Australia, Queensland in particular. Mr. Zachary Sorensen. Once you have a model, how many services do you need to make content?
Um, it depends on what you're wanting to output. As I said, for us, we tried we've tried dozens, probably in the low hundreds of different models and services to that we were constantly testing to see which one produces this. Um, we found, as I said, lemon slice to have massively reduced our workflow. So we're only now, well, it's three services we use. We use, as I said, ChatGPT's image generator, Sora to create the still image, Lemon Slice to do the voice cloning, lip syncing, and video generation, all in that one. And we use Claude for helping us create a really good script for these models to say. So it's only three, and that could easily be down to two. You could easily train ChatGPT to do it, especially now ChatGPT has this whole history and memory side of it, very much like Claude did. But we use Claude because Claude had it first, and so we were very used to using Claude to do that. But that could easily be done with now just two programs. You could do the script generation all in ChatGPT. As long as you feed it, because you can feed it in, the source material for it to create a script. So we use three, but in theory, you could do it all in two using Sora and Lemon Slice to do this.
Okay, we're down to our last questions. What's next for Kenn Jordan and exploring AI?
As I hinted at earlier, we are going to be launching a whole new website for producing these digital avatars. Um, and yeah, it's since we've, as I said, since the demos and stuff that we sent to you, it has probably 18 now, well, 70 to 80% of our workload is in doing these. So yeah, watch this space for the launch of this new service, and yeah, any new features. Conversations with Tony Mobley is where I go to first, and you will see them first on there. Where yeah, they are. Thank you, Tony, for that.
Thank you, sir. I'm so excited to hear that. I'm looking forward to the next AI generation that I share with our audience.
Yes,
Thank you so
and
much.
yes, yes. Unfortunately, just due to because we were in between, there were some technical issues and stuff we had here that I didn't do a promo of this show, but we'll now things are slightly more settled. Well, they'll be fully settled by next week. I'll do a post AI version of this so that you can put on your socials, Tony, for this show.
Fantastic. And we're down to the very last question. You already know what it is. You're speaking to the world. What do you want the world to know?
Yeah, I want well to know there's that there are negative connotations with AI, but if you embrace it and just as a think of it as a tool to help enhance your workflow, um, is really if you come to it from that aspect, you will find that it can really supercharge your workflow, your output. Um, and don't think of it as, oh, this is going to take over um, my role or my job, but think of it as, a great asset to help, as I said, enhance what you do and take your work further by utilizing what AI can do.
Thank you, sir. You heard it first here from Kenn Jordan, AI Tony Mobley, AI Liberty White. We are thankful that Kenn was able to be with us today. And if you liked what we were doing today in this conversation, and I want to say also, this is we do labs too. We have conversations and we do some labs. And today was more of a lab. But this is Conversations with Tony Mobley. We had our guest today, Kenn Jordan, coming in from Ireland, using his Vision Pro and describing to us and sharing with us how to create Pixar type avatars and why you want to use those avatars. We want to thank Kenn Jordan for that. Conversation with Tony Mobley is produced by valued audio visual professionals who meet daily in Office Hours Global, hosted by Alex Lindsay. And we want to say thank you to Mimo Live. This conversation and all conversations over the last 2 years have been powered by Mimo Live. We have conversations with real people. Stay tuned for new episodes and great conversations. We want to thank everyone for the 100 plus episodes of Conversation with Tony Mobley. And if you have time, we ask that you go back and look at some of those conversations, and we guarantee that you might find something that is helpful or useful for you. We again want to thank Kenn Jordan for being a part of this conversation today and for doing the work you do and for being the person who you are. Thank you again, Kenn. Next week, translator expert Robert Zababity will be sharing his use of Mimo Live. So it'll be kind of another lab kind of conversation, and we'll be talking about the power of Mimo Live. And if you're curious of what Mimo Live is, make sure that you come in next week to participate in the conversation. But I will tell you this, Mimo Live provides you the opportunity to have your own television show. So join us next week for our conversation with Robert Zababity regarding Mimo Live. We're going to say good night, good day. God bless you wherever you may be in the world. Take care. Good night. Good day. Take care.